Hey guys, McGregor Card here, and welcome to this video where we're going to show you how to do basic PID tuning and what to look for to get a good tune. If you are still in the process of learning to fly your drone, we recommend that you get a little more experience before trying to adjust the way your drone will act in the air. You're going to want to be very comfortable with taking off, landing, and even doing a few tricks before diving into PID tuning. Please note that this is just a basic tuning guide to get you started, just the tip of the tuning iceberg. We will be constantly updating this guide as new firmware gets released and also releasing more in-depth tuning videos in the future as drone technology evolves and changes. First and foremost, go out and fly your drone with the stock settings before you do anything else. The firmware these days has been optimized for most drones and pilots' needs, and it keeps getting better with every release. You might find that your drone flies great right off the bat. All you may need to do is tweak a few parameters to adjust the way the drone feels in the air. With all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. The drone we are tuning is the stock Emax Hawk Pro. We are going to be flying with a GoPro on board with stabilization turned off to help illustrate some of the tuning problems we might see. Note that the added weight of a GoPro might slightly change the flight characteristics, so in the future, if you plan on adding one to your drone, just know that it may require you to slightly adjust your PID tune if the drone starts acting differently. Make sure you are using the latest version of Betaflight Configurator, currently version 10.7.0, on your computer. We went over how and where to get it in a previous video. But if you start at Betaflight and it says there is an update available, go ahead and follow the on-screen instructions to download and install the update. We also recommend that you update to the most recent flight controller firmware. If you're using the Hawk Pro 5-inch, the latest Betaflight firmware version you can use is 4.1.1. We showed you how to update your flight controller firmware in the configuration module in the course. Alright guys, here I'm going to do my test flight after I've upgraded the firmware. I'm just going to be looking for bounce back on flips and rolls, prop wash, and to make sure my tracking is good, and that it's holding a heading. So here we go. So I'm going to try some flips. And rolls. You can see right there at the end of the roll there was a little bit of bounce back. I'll try it again to see if you can see it. There's a little prop wash there. It's looking like there's not a ton of bounce back. Just kind of going side to side to see if I get any bounce on the roll. It's looking pretty good. We'll test yaw really quick here. See, there's a little bit of bounce on the yaw, but that's not a super big concern, but it is something we can adjust. You can see where it bounces right there on the yaw. It's actually looking pretty good as far as the roll, just a slight amount. So we can just make a little bit of adjustment on the roll. And let's see if we get any bounce on punch outs. It's looking like it's holding its attitude pretty good. A little bit of prop wash there. Let's try some sharp turns and see if we can bring out some prop wash. You know, it looks like the prop wash is handling pretty good. A little bit shake there. So we can probably do a little bit of tuning to get that. Yeah, right there, little prop wash. So let's bring it back in and see if we can take care of a little bit of that prop wash and tune the yaw just a little bit. See if we can get rid of that bounce back on the yaw. All right, in that flight we saw that we had a little bit of bounce back on the yaw axis and a little bit of prop wash. And there wasn't much bounce back on the pitch or roll axis, but we're gonna just increase the gains there. So let's go ahead and plug in the drone. And I've already got Betaflight opened up. So we'll hit connect and then go over here to the PID tuning tab. We're going to increase the P&D gain a couple notches. The added proportional will help get rid of some of the prop wash, and the D gains will help dampen out some of the overshooting that we're seeing. So we're going to go ahead and hit save and do another quick test flight to see how that changed the performance. All right, now that we've made a couple small adjustments to the P&D gains, we're going to do a quick test flight and see how it does. One important thing is we're going to just fly it for a minute or so, bring it back and feel the motors to see if they're getting hot or not. When you increase the D gain, it can cause your motors to heat up, so it's just a good thing to check when, especially when you're PID tuning. All right, so we're gonna try some yaw spins to see if that helped the bounce back. Just a little bit. And we're gonna also just do some flips and rolls to see how that's handling. Make sure there's no crazy bounce back. It looks like it's stopping really nice. So a little bit of bounce back on that other flip. Looks like the roll is responding really nicely. There's no bounce back on the roll. Just a slight bounce back on the pitch angle. The bounce back on the pitch that I'm seeing is when it comes out of the roll, you can see just a slight bounce where it bounces up and then back down. That happens when you hit your set point on your stick. Is basically when I return the stick to center. That's the new set point after doing the roll, and the drone is still trying to react and it overshoots the set point. So we're going to bring it back in and feel the motors, see how they're doing. Alright, so I'm just grabbing the motors to see how they feel. They're just slightly warm, which is normal. If you grab them and they're too hot to hold for more than a second, then you know their motors are heating up. Usually when your motors are heating up, that means that there's too much derivative and it will cause really high frequency oscillations in the motors, which cause them to heat up. And if you keep flying like that, you risk burning out a motor. All right, we're going to take off and do a little test for prop wash. Now what prop wash is when the drone comes down after falling, and when you throttle back up, you see that oscillation that happens? That's when the prop falls into the turbulent air that it's producing as the props spin. It's got nice clean air above the props, but down below the props they're blowing all sorts of turbulent air out. And when the drone falls into that, you get oscillations, and that's what prop wash is. So I'm just falling, throttling up, and you see a little bit of oscillation there. I'm going to try some sharp turns. And you can hear a little bit of the oscillations in that sharp turn. Just a little bit of wobble. So we're going to bring it back in and see if we can adjust a few things to see if we can take care of that excess prop wash and see if we can tighten up the bounce back on the yaw a little bit. All right, now after that little flight, we're going to try to further tune out the prop wash and the bounce back that we're seeing. So we're going to plug in the drone and hit connect, go back to the PID tuning tab, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn the P and D gain up a couple more notches. What we're also going to do is increase the PD balance a couple of notches, and you can see up here it popped up a little caution sign saying current sensor positions may cause flyaways, motor damage, or unsafe craft behavior. Now increasing your Ds will increase the risk of your motors getting really hot during flying. Usually you can hear that in a super high frequency oscillations. Your motors will whine or make a strange noise when rapidly moving the throttle up and down. But you'll just need to listen for that and only fly for a minute or two and test the motors to make sure they're not getting hot. So now with that increased derivative, that should help us dampen out some of the oscillations we're getting with prop wash. So let's go ahead and hit save and do another test flight. All right, now that we've increased the derivative a little bit, we're gonna take off and see how that affects the drone. It should help a little bit with the prop wash that we're seeing. So let's try it out. So I'm just gonna let it drop. Still get a little bit of prop wash, but it's not too bad. Just a little bit of shakiness there. Looks like we're doing a bit better on the bounce back that we had on the pitch axis. You can see when I come out of that flip, we don't get that little bounce that we were having on the previous flight. There's just the slightest amount. It's kind of a big bounce back there. We're gonna try a yaw spin, see how that does. Just a little bit of bounce back on the yaw. All right, now after that flight, we noticed that we weren't getting any bounce back, or we were getting just a very slight amount of bounce back on the pitch axis, and we still have just a little bit of prop wash when we're dropping straight down. Okay, so what we're gonna do is increase the P and D gain a couple notches. And as you can see, that increases the proportional and the derivative, the D max and the D min. But we're also going to add in some PD balance, which when you adjust this, it increases just the derivative. So we're going to increase the PD balance 3 notches. And as you can see, that increases just the derivative max and the derivative min. And just like earlier, we get this warning up here. Just make sure to listen to your motors and stop every once in a while to test how hot your motors are getting. So we're going to come over here and hit save. So we're going to do it again and see how we do on the pitch axis, if we still get that little bit of bounce back, and we're going to see how the prop wash handles. So let's go ahead and disconnect. And all right, after bumping up the D gains and bumping up the P and D a little bit, we're going to do another test flight. We're going to see how the bounce back is on the pitch axis and see if we still get a lot of prop wash or if that's been toned down a little bit. So here we go. All right, we're going to try some flips, see how the bounce back is. That looks pretty good. See how it comes to a nice smooth stop, doesn't bounce back after the flip. Alright, we're going to try prop wash and see what happens. Still get a little bit of wobble on the prop wash. In reality, trying to get rid of all prop wash is really very difficult. You can see in that sharp turn I didn't get any prop wash. And on that turn I didn't get any prop wash. So it seems like we're only getting prop wash when we're just flying straight up and there's a dropping straight down. Which, you can see I got just a little bit, or you could hear just a little bit of a wobble when I dropped right there, but mainly you don't want prop wash when you're doing fast corners because it causes a little bit of instability. But all in all, I'd say this tune is looking pretty good. We've got nice crisp response on the roll. No bounce back on the roll. And then let's test the yaw and see how the bounce back is on the yaw. Still get a little bit of bounce back on the yaw. But it's not bad. I would say this drone is very flyable. You'd be able to have lots of fun with it. And it really depends on your feel for the drone. If you feel like the prop wash is a big problem and you want to tune it out, you can definitely spend more time and go into a lot more in-depth tuning to try to get rid of the prop wash and the little tiny bounce backs. Now that the drone is flying a lot better, it feels more locked in, I'm not getting those little bounces, and I've minimized prop wash. Now it's good to note that spending some time on getting a good tune is definitely a good idea, but some pilots will take days or even weeks chasing the perfect tune only to have it messed up in a bad crash or simply by having a bent prop. So it's a good idea to try to get your drone flying as good as you can, then just go out and enjoy flying. Constantly worrying about the perfect tune can lead to frustration and make flying not very enjoyable. If you have any questions, definitely let us know and have fun flying.